to pray for us.
And there's space for the controversy over ownership of the Azonto journal.
Now watch me do my Azonto. Straight up. Alright, what's up? Listen. About him and other him and Missy Ma, Michelle, she been a pro to win, you know.
And we'll do all the Azonto later on. All that and more coming up here on Newsnight. Please join me with your thoughts and comments via WhatsApp on 0244340437. I am Emefa Apawu. And tonight's government is being urged to roll out a post-lockdown program to support the vulnerable in society. The lockdown of Accra and Kumasi plus Kaswa, triggered by the COVID-19 pandemic, meant many people could not go out to work. But even after the lockdown, it appears some families are yet to get out of the woods. Let me tell you the story of Ajua Ejewa, a single mother of two, now struggling to return to her job as a house cleaner because no client will allow her into their home. PSA Nanaya Osafo went to meet Ejewa at her home, a mechanic shop.
Ajua Ejewa was one of the citizens who believed a partial lockdown in parts of the country was bad for business, although it was a necessary measure to prevent spread of a virus. Like many Ghanaians, she waited eagerly for the president's address on Sunday, 19th April 2020. The ban was lifted, but Ejewa would face a hurdle. No client will admit her into their home. Everyone is being careful.
The times are not good at all. I used to get paid for washing services just a few months ago. Even friends turn me away now. I can barely take care of my children. Customers say now they've resorted to using washing machines. I used to earn as much as 400 cedis or 600 cedis in a week. It was not always guaranteed, but it was relatively better. All those funds were used in purchasing more soap for washing, taking care of myself and my daughter's education, and the basic needs, including sanitary pads.
She walks with me over to her sleeping place in New Fadama, a wooden structure. Most of the room is covered with old dusty clothes, car spare parts, and rusty metals. Ejewa shows me an old refrigerator in the corner on which her two daughters, Veronica, 18, and Juliana, 17, squeeze to sleep at night. When I asked about where she slept, she points at the ground. I
usually sleep on a piece of plywood. There it is now. We sometimes take turns between sleeping on the old refrigerator and here.
The structure has been home to Ejewa and her daughters for the past 12 years. It is originally a welder's shop, but serves as home when the workers leave each day at about 7 p.m. Despite living in what appears to be poverty and abandonment by husband, Ejewa says never cared much for her anyway. She has been determined to work hard to take care of herself and her daughters.
I want to be a banker.
Veronica Kunedu is the first of Ajua Ejewa's daughters. She is a senior high school graduate, brilliant from my engagement with her, but had no idea what her WASSCE results were. She had been blocked from accessing it due to her outstanding school fees. Juliana, the last child, aspires to be a journalist someday.
I would like the elders of my daughters to continue her education, but I cannot help her. I'm out of job now, with no financial backing as it is. It will be almost impossible to send the younger one back to school, even when the ban on schools is lifted. I'm not worried as much about where we sleep. I think I'm getting used to it.
With mouths to feed, dreams to support, and barely nothing in her account, Ajua Ejewa sits with a neighbor and the girls discussing life and its meaning somewhere in New Fadama. For her, life is not easy. Life with COVID-19 has been worse. Tomorrow is just another day, but what it comes with is unknown. PSC Nanaya Osafo, Joy News.
And that's Dwejewa's situation. Let's speak to George Osei Bimpe. He's a country director of civil society organization Send Ghana. We're grateful for your time here on Newsnight. So, restarting life post-lockdown, this situation is not limited to Dwejewa and her two children. You have been interacting with people of such nature. I know that you've been donating food and all that to them. You think it's time for us to have a policy sort of on post-lockdown program?
Well, thank you very much. Yes, let me just tell you one example that we also came across, that some security people have been given private security people have been given the option to either stay in the house of their masters or go out and never come back. Meanwhile, they have their own families and so on and so forth. Not only, I think that we need to look at this issue from various aspects. Either people do not understand, people are overreacting, and as a country, we have not also developed over the years a robust social protection system. And I think that the madam's case is a big indictment on us as society, how we failed to take care of the core trouble, and how we address problems in a way that actually does not, tackle the root causes. When we address problems of inequality and poverty, and we do it, in a way, a manner, the underlying causes are not addressed. These are some of the challenges. So, for example, one would have expected that the good initiative that government put in place at the time that we were under the partial lockdown have continued to tackle this. But the question is, how do you reach out to these people who are the ones who mostly need government support? One proposition that I will put forward is that going forward, government will have to rely a lot more on the technocrats at the social welfare department, and those at the Ministry of Gender and Social Protection, because these are people who have the capacity to identify the people who so need support. And when we give such support and we give it to political actors to administer who have no training on how to even, in an emergency situation, identify critical segment of the population who need this kind of support, always we end up missing out in terms of the targeting mechanism. And I think that let's just take this indictment in good faith as a people and use this as a medium to call upon government to resume the support that they were giving, which was very laudable, the support that they were giving to sections of the population when we were under lockout. We haven't come out of it. Many people, what this tells us is that many people are still suffering the effect of the lockdown. How people are reacting, the employers are reacting, is having a lot of impact on their lives. And I think that we need to broaden the discussion and find the best ways to support people like...
But Mr. Bimpe, some have also said that it is unrealistic to continue feeding the poor, no matter how vulnerable they may be. You think government can sustain this over which period?
Well, I agree with the suggestion that it may not be sustainable. Yes, I agree. But the thing is that if we step back and re-strategize and do not do a wholesale, if you saw the picture that emerged from Kumasi and part of Accra here, and I want to submit that maybe if we had used a better targeting mechanism, we would have eliminated some of the people who queued up. In other words, we might have missed out on the people who actually needed it. So let us go back. We don't need to give it to everybody. There are segments of, there are some people like this woman, a single mother for that matter, who basically lives from hand to mouth. And so those are the people that we should be looking at. And that is why I made reference to the need to use the technical capacity of the Ministry of local government. In other words, allowing them to do as they have learned on their jobs, as they have, specialized in as their profession demands, so that they can reach the people. Once we make an emergency situation like this a political management, if we leave the management to, political actors, often you will have that problem because the people who know, who have the expertise and who know how to reach these people, actually, basically, are not being allowed to do as they would have wished to do. They would have wished. So these are some of the things. So I agree, but when we step back, re-strategize, and we focus on the people who actually need it, we may not end up spending as much as we would have spent in the, if you like, the first phase of government intervention.
Okay.
I must commend government for what they did when we were under the
lockdown.
The partial lockdown.
Well, Mr. Bimpe, at this point, let's bring in the Deputy Minister for Gender and Social Protection, Madam Frida Prempeh. She's been listening in to your submission, your earlier submissions. Madam, we're grateful for your time here on Newsnight. So is there a plan, for instance, for the vulnerable in society post-lockdown? We've heard just yesterday that you are actually now counting of a sort. The counting is underway for this vulnerable. Is that the case?
Thank you very much. Let me first of all correct Doshin, the statement that I don't know whom you are speaking with on the other side.
It's Mr. Osei Bimpe. He's the country director for St. Ghana.
Oh, St. Ghana, okay. He talked about the fact that there shouldn't have been any political interference in the management of the distribution of food to the vulnerable. I must correct him that there was no political interference. It was solely under the purview of the Ministry of Gender, the MMDCs, and the NADBO officials. And the Ministry of Gender, for that matter, we used the social welfare officers that he mentioned. I was in Kumasi for the 3-week program, and I supervised the distribution of the raw food and the cooked meal, in Greater Kumasi, in all the 14 constituencies that were, part of the partial lockdown in Kumasi. There was no political interference. There was no callous. This coronavirus or COVID-19 is no respect of persons. So the president was very particular about the fact that there should not be any callous assigned to the distribution of food, because it could happen to Kwame, it could happen to Kweku. So I must correct this, because I heard somewhere along the line that my colleague in Parliament, Dr. Ezenat, was also talking about the fact that people were even requested for party cards before they were given food. That cannot be true, and it's not true at all. Let me also say that extreme poverty and vulnerability will always remain a big challenge. The Social Protection Division, or the Social Protection Department of the Ministry of Gender, has always done a lot in the area of supporting people with, the vulnerable groups. We work with them, we deal with them. And I must also correct the fact that the vulnerable group, if we talk about vulnerable groups under the ministry, we are not only referring to headquarters, where we call them the Kayayes. There are parents of children with special needs. We reach out to them. They're physically challenged. Mm-hmm. We have, during the partial lockdown, we're supporting our Sushan boys, our water sellers, the mechanic shop apprentices, and those who live like from hand to mouth. So we have all these groups to deal with. But the point is, now the lockdown has been lifted. Even when we were observing the partial lockdown, some of these groups, majority of them, it was even difficult to put them under one roof. They will still sneak out to go and do their hawking or to sell the ice water or do whatever they want to do. So now, after the lockdown, you mentioned about the fact that we are now counting. We are not counting. We have the database of the vulnerable groups, but it's always +5 -5.
And what's the data? What's the data that you have? Because yesterday we know about an exercise that's ongoing that's counting the vulnerable. So what data do you have?
It's ongoing because we need to update our records. They keep on multiplying. So we can't work with 5 people today and assume that there will still be 5 tomorrow. So with the partial lockdown now lifted, we want to seize the opportunity to work with the World Bank. We have the Ghana National Household Registry under the ministry. They are doing this project, and they are making sure that we get the correct numbers and get the correct database, so that if something should happen tomorrow, We wouldn't have to go thinking about whether we have 100 people at Abobloshi or we have 500 people in Techumai or in Kumasi. So the database is very important.
So since you have the database, before we move on quickly, at the last count, how many of these vulnerable persons in the society do we have?
I can't give you a figure because the figures keep on changing.
So I asked about the last count, for instance, the previous number you have.
I can't give you an absolute figure now, but we fed over 400,000 people in Kumasi and in Accra. That's why we've taken it upon ourselves with the support of the World Bank to ensure that we have a proper database so that at the end of the day, if anything should pop up again. As for COVID-19, we don't know when it's leaving us. We are hoping that it will leave us tomorrow. But unfortunately, the vulnerable groups, you and I will protect ourselves. You make sure you wear your mask. You make sure you wash your hands regularly. You make sure that you observe the social distancing. But it's difficult, extremely difficult. It's a big challenge for these groups of people to observe the protocols. So that's where the challenge is now.
But my main question, though, Madam Frida, is about whether we have a post-lockdown plan, for instance, for the vulnerable in society.
Yes, to start with, you need to know the numbers. That's why we are making sure that we do have a proper database of the vulnerable groups. Apart from that, we are continuing with our social protection dialogue, community dialogues. You know, before the lockdown, we moved into the communities to talk to these vulnerable groups and also to support them under a social protection program. We are continuing with that. The LEAP program is also ongoing. But to us as a ministry, this novel COVID-19, it's something that we all have to deal with together collectively. And to us as a ministry, we think that apart from the LEAP, apart from the community dialogues, apart from the support that people are still, the relief that people are still bringing to the ministry, some of the relief items are now being specifically donated to other groups of people. When people donate the item, they mention specific groups of people that the donation has to go to. But we think that above all these things, the most important thing is the education, is the sensitization. Because if you continue to give them relief items, if you continue to give them raw food, if you continue to give them hot meal a day, and they don't observe the protocols, you'll not be able to achieve any meaningful thing.
Of course, they need to be comfortable also to be able to observe these protocols. But finally, we fed, you just mentioned that over 400,000 people in Kumasi and Accra were fed during that period. Do we know how much it cost us?
Well, I can't give you the absolute figures now, but I told you I supervised the distribution of food in Kumasi. And let me mention here that as much as I was in Kumasi for the past 3 weeks, for the 3 weeks partial lockdown, the distribution of the raw food was done strictly under the supervision of the faith-based organizations, the NADMO officers, the social welfare officers, and the MMB.
But you've told me that already. I only wanted to know how much it cost us and how much we actually budgeted for it.
I can't give you the figures now because we are still putting our records together.
Of course, you can't tell me how much it cost, but how much did you budget for it, for instance?
No, I can't give you the absolute figures now.
Neither the budget or the cost.
Tomorrow, I'll be able to give you.
We are grateful for your time. That's the Deputy Minister for Gender and Social Protection, Madam Frida Prempeh. We'll wrap up with Mr. George Osei Bimpe, Country Director of Civil Society Organization. You've heard the Deputy Minister for Gender and Social Protection. They are still collating data for the vulnerable, and that's how come we're seeing what we're seeing now.
Well, thank you very much. I know the work that the Ministry of Gender and Social Protection, children are doing, and they are doing quite a lot of work. Proud to COVID-19, but there is a problem. The household survey, the Ghana National Household Survey that the Honorable Minister made reference to was started some time ago. I think they completed that of the Upper West region. I am not aware that it has been done in Accra and Kumasi. So I don't know the data, and I don't challenge him on that. I challenge them on that. They have their own ways of determining those things. But point I'm making is that as a country, if we had been serious to complete the national household data, the registry, we would not have had any problem because it details the circumstances of the individual such that you can virtually walk to the room of that person. So I would want to commend them for having seen the need to expedite action on that. If they had gone on, if government had given them enough resources to complete, and I know that they were having challenges with resources, budgetary allocation to complete that. So I'm happy to hear that is happening. But the point is that, my sister, we can have education and education. If the person does not have the economic power, for example, to buy the simple things like the face mask and all those, even common soap, people to have common soap. We distributed a lot of soap yesterday, also in some parts of Accra, vulnerable groups. We targeted those people. I'm trying to say that we need to find. It's good that we do the household registry, as the minister has said, and we commend them for that. We encourage them to continue. But we need to find ways for people like Madam, who the woman who you documented, whose livelihood has virtually curtailed as a result of COVID-19. Some of the vulnerable groups may have had a chance to go back to their normal economic activity. There are some who may not have had a chance, like the Madam you talked about. Let us find a way to use the local government structure to identify them. And I want to submit that when you want to identify the very vulnerable and you do not have the data, let us use let us improvise. In the community, there are assembly members, there are chiefs, there are community leaders, opinion leaders who can simply say that as for this woman or this man, she qualifies to be described as vulnerable. Can we begin to use those local structures to identify them so that we can provide immediate support to them as government continues to do the scientific way, put in place scientific ways of identifying or targeting such people. And I think that's the way to address some of the emerging challenges that require prompt actions. There are some that require prompt action. I think that we need to handle it aside. Thank you.
We're grateful for your time. That's George Osei Bimpe, the Country Director of Civil Society Organization, Send Ghana. Earlier also you had the Deputy Minister for Gender and Social Protection, Frida Prempe. What are your thoughts? Send them via WhatsApp at 0244340437. On to another pressing issue, education. The ranking member on Parliament's Education Committee, Dr. Clement Apawu, wants government to introduce more platforms to boost coverage of its e-learning program. Under the program, teachers deliver lessons on television and online to pupils and students in basic and senior high schools. We all know about Joy Learning. But since its inception a month ago, there's been concerns that many children in rural communities are not benefiting. Dr. Apawu says more investments are needed to turn things around.
The problem I have is that even if, educational instruction is being provided over the internet and through TV channels. Again, the most vulnerable and students from less wealthy, affluent backgrounds are disadvantaged. If you go to Butsa South, my constituency, for example, I can tell you those who have TVs are very few. But not every community in Butsa South is even connected to the national grid. So whether you are providing it by TV or the internet, it still is a challenge to them. Few have TVs, well and good, but the majority don't have TVs. Even those who have electricity don't have the TVs. Now, as for the internet, we all know that, the internet is not available across the length and breadth of this country. Even where it is available, many don't even have the capacity to procure a computer and to buy data so that they can access the programs online. So again, perhaps government needs to customize and look at what has to be done to ensure that the most vulnerable, students from poor backgrounds, like from Butsa South, are not unduly disadvantaged.
Is there a way around that beyond the internet, if even we are social?
Well, the internet idea is a good one, but government has to make it available. So, for example, if government could procure laptops with prepaid modems for them to access the internet, that can be done, because the district directorates of education, they know the students, they know the student populations, and these are things that can be done. So we need to start thinking out of the box to see what we can do to cushion
And that's the Deputy Ranking Member on Education Committee in Parliament, Dr. Clementa Park. We've told you stories about the inequality gaps between the haves and the have-nots when it comes to this e-learning program. We've heard from my colleague Maxwell Agbagba Barakisu. They've all been to interact with some of these children and how it's difficult for them to access this e-learning program. So it's something that we're still looking at. But in the meantime, Joy Learning with Wolo Afrique is actually your best bet at this point. You're still listening to Newsnight here on Joy 99.7 FM, and later in the bulletin, a plea from some critical care staff working overtime to save the lives of patients with COVID-19.
As we do our part as health workers to stave this epidemic in our country, we want the citizens to also do their part and then to pray for us.
More excerpts from inside the treatment center, and then later all about the controversy over ownership of the Azonto Journal.
Now watch me do my Azonto. Straight up. Alright, what's up? Listen. About him another him, I miss him. Michelle, she been on the throne to win, you know. Wakuma for not to chill in the yam.
And those watching on Facebook definitely are enjoying. You should see George Riaf's moves right here. After business, I'm sure he'll give us more. You love dancing.
Today is World Dancing Day.
Yeah, so, okay.
So if it hadn't been Corona, I would be dancing.
Oh, it's okay. You can still dance everywhere. While social distancing, you can still dance. So what's in business?
Well, Emefa in business, thousands in the restaurant and pub business loses their jobs as the sector struggles to withstand the shocks from the coronavirus. And while it is hitting one sector, it appears that has also helped push the volumes and transactions on online platforms in the country. We'll be telling you more details on that one. The business news on Newsnight is brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business. Kingdom Books and Stationery, your number one-stop shop for all your office essentials. And First National Bank, we are the bank that understands your business. First National Bank, how can we help you? And there has been 25 years of joy in providing the platform for businesses to connect with regulators of their respective sectors.
Here's to the little details.
So, what are you doing?
I'm just chilling in my room.
No, you're not.
To long-distance friendships.
I just got to Bumpurugu Yoyo.
Hey, hold on. The conversations that never end.
So I met up with my friends, and we were going, and we walked. Hello? Hello, Mario. Hey, Mario, what da?
And friendships that need support.
Hey, bro. I make dry.
Bro, check your Momo wallet.
Bro,
you know it's a day for you.
Whoever you are, whatever your needs, there's so many ways to talk, text, and browse for long on Ghana's #1 network, MTN. Just dial 505 and choose from a wide range of offers to enjoy the most amazing mobile experience.
We're there for you, everywhere you go.
Mr. Bar has big dreams for his business, Bar & Co. Limited, and his family, making them a reality man to long drives and queues. He's lost precious time struggling to pay his suppliers in China, Turkey, India, and other parts of the world. With the First National Bank global payment via our online banking enterprise, he now pays for all that in the convenience of his home or office, giving him time to focus on family and growing his business. Use our online banking enterprise to access Forex when you need it. It takes a bank that does more to help your family. So who's helping yours? First National Bank. How can we help you?
We know it's important to create a productive and supportive working environment by investing in your employees' health. With a leading international track record, Apex Health Insurance is regulated and licensed by the National Health Insurance Authority to provide medical insurance services to institutional clients, families, and individuals. Apex Student Package and International Medical Solutions are all here to cushion you. Visit Apex Health Insurance Office at Zion House, Boundary Road, Shiashi or call
0501-683-914
or 0232-000-015. In Kumasi, we are located opposite Prempeh College, Sofo Line, and in Takrady, Apex Health, your preferred health insurer.
DSTV Young Pupa and Nuntina yet time machino, and we thank you for choosing to stay at home and save with us. Yet time machi, Entina Yemamo discount when you top up your DSTV subscription. Annie, you crow with kids educational channels like Mindset, Da Vinci, and the Ghana Learning Channel, as well as lots of kids entertainment and up to the minute news update on all the happenings across the world and home. Plus our captivating local and international drama, thrilling series and movies, all in one place. To get your discount, just top up your same or preferred subscription using MTN Momo, Vodacash, Slide Pay, Express Pay, eTransact, or your banking app, or SMS *389*5# and *759#, and we will upgrade you to the next package at no extra cost. Yes, that's easy. Onyankupadie and Noani DSTV. DSTV, yet time machine.
The best, we stay above the rest. More quality, more affordability. Kingdom Boost and Stationery. Everybody's going to the one and only shop where customer satisfaction is a guarantee. Kingdom Boost and Stationery.
Oh yes, with our 30 days credit facility with no interest charge, free delivery services, and our free consultation on setting up your office, Kingdom Books and Stationery is unmatched in our delivery of quality and affordable office essentials, equipment, and furniture.
Experience world-class customer service in all our branches in Accra, Tema, Kumasi, Cape Coast, and Takrady.
Call us on 0302-764-101
or visit our website at www.kingdomgh.com.
Kingdom Books and Stationery, your number one-stop shop for all office essentials and stationery. Terms and conditions apply.
Everyone needs a partner who will be there through the good times and tough times. We are that partner, and we appreciate your loyalty. At GoTV, we always have your back. That's why we're giving you a free upgrade on your next package. Simply stay connected and get upgraded to the next higher package at no cost. Annual upgrade at no cost. Stay home, stay safe, and stay remotely connected with MTN Momo, Vodafone Cash, Slide Pay, Express Pay, eTransact, or your banking application, or *389*5# and *759#, and we will connect you with non-stop family mix entertainment on BET, Africa Magic Family, Rock 2 and 3, Telemundo, News, Trace Jama, and an array of kids learning and fun channels to wow you. Thank you for being our loyal partner. Stay entertained. GoTV's got your back.
Joy 99.7 FM.
Welcome back to Business on News Night. Now, thousands of workers in the restaurant and pub business have lost their jobs. Now, that's according to the National Hospitality Association of Ghana, which has majority of its members drawn from the restaurant and eatery business in the country. The hospitality industry has been described as one of the biggest casualties of the coronavirus. Some players still counting their losses. Jubilate is the Executive Secretary of the National Hospitality Association of Ghana.
As we're talking right now, most of them are recording just about 10% of total operating capacity. 10%. Some of them are recording less than 10%. And what it means is that a lot of staff who have worked for years diligently have had to lose their jobs.
Your members, do you have a fair idea about the pool of persons that they employ in terms of those who are in the pub and the restaurant business?
We are talking about 300,000, 400,000 minus the hotels. Okay. But if you add that to the hotels, you are in the region of 700,000 people.
But if you look at those in the restaurant and eatery business, you're looking at about 300,000, and about 20% of that have lost their jobs.
In fact, 20 is an understatement. But there are a lot more people who are out of jobs, who are just sitting at home.
Well, I would say that I have seen some of the restaurant business and the pub business doing online deliveries and all the rest. Is it that some of your members are not strategizing to still stay in business? in terms of, because people ask whether COVID or no COVID, I need to fill my tummy.
Now, the online thing has been there for some time, but it is during COVID that people are beginning to pay attention to online. And we're also struggling to understand that how many Ghanaians will really order food online, for example? Very few. As a general way of movement from now, that is quite unattractive.
Theodore Jubilate is the Executive Secretary of the National Hospitality Association of Ghana. Now, public policy think tank Imani Africa is making a strong case for management of pre-facilitation at the country's port to be still managed by GCNet and extended for at least a year. This is coming at a time that government is trying to persuade GCNet to extend their contract to the end of next month. Franklin Kujo is president of Imani Africa, and he has been explaining why the country could be making some great savings if we go this way.
Let's go back and do a proper verification of the system, because this kind of disgrace is unwarranted. That as they meet and as they capitulate before GCNet and West Blue, and as they beg, GCNet and Co should be stringent and ensure that the only time they are going to activate their system again is when indeed the IC incomes or whatever they call it is in itself totally independent. We mentioned that in our petition twice to the president, that suspend this and wait until the end of the year so that at least because of COVID-19 your revenues will be assured. So this fit and start process is not going to help the country at all.
Franklin Kujo is president of Imani Africa. Now, the Ghana Interbank Payment and Settlement Systems gives his attributing the significant growth in online payment to the coronavirus and aggressive marketing by their outfit. Several online payment platforms supervised by Gibbs saw some value in the transaction actually going up significantly for the first quarter of this year. For instance, mobile number interoperability increased by more than 300% to hit 5.1 million transactions. Achiyesi is chief executive of the Ghana Interbank Payment and Settlement System.
Most people have succeeded and they are actually informing their customers about it. But in particular, when the COVID-19 issue came up, we all locked down, so we all resorted to paying remotely. In addition to the fact that Gibbs set all their fees to free, and the banks also offered these services at no cost to the ultimate beneficiary. So it actually encouraged individuals who might not have used it before to try it, and also those who have used it to deepen their usage.
Archie Hesse is the chief executive of the Ghana Interbank Payments and Settlement Systems. Now, United Bank for Africa says it has taken steps to ensure that customer interaction and banking business are not affected this badly because of the coronavirus. Not the chairman of the bank, Tony Milu, gave this assurance when he engaged shareholders today at the bank's annual general meeting in Lagos, Nigeria, through a virtual platform. Now, let's hear between this interaction between shareholders and the chairman in Lagos, Nigeria.
Since this is an annual general meeting by proxy and the votes on all the proxy forms duly submitted have been collated by the registrars, I will ask the registrars to share the voting results on the resolutions upon their introduction for consideration. You now have an opportunity to make comments, distinguished shareholders. Are there any comments before the motion is put to the meeting, please?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, Dr. Farouk.
Mr. Chairman, let me begin first by commending you for fulfilling your promise at the last AGM, where you promised us that by God's grace we will stop Kobo dividend. Mr. Chairman, can I second the motion of the re-election?
Yes.
I do second that motion.
I now put the motion to the meeting.
And that is an interaction between the chairman, the group chairman of UBA Africa, Tony Lumelu, and his shareholders in Lagos, Nigeria, where actually they were interacting through a virtual platform. You know that now most of these listed companies, they cannot have this face-to-face meeting at one venue. So all of them are exploring. It looks like that might be a good way for listed companies here in Ghana to also go in terms of engaging their shareholders via the virtual platform as they look at ways to have their annual general meeting this year.
Thank you very much, George, for the latest from the world of business. You stay with us, and then we'll do the Azonto challenge shortly. But let's take comments that we've received via WhatsApp on 0244340437. This one's from BB. North K said it's no secret that the food sharing was so terribly done, but the continuous defense makes us lose hope that they have learned any lessons to improve it in the future. They fed 400,000 people for how many days, and she can't tell how much they spent. God is watching. And this one says, I am shocked in this country. How can a minister say and boast of feeding 400,000 people but cannot tell the amount it costs to feed such people? And this one also says, we are not ready to listen to explanations from this government. They should abandon these unachievable hospital projects and complete those uncompleted ones by the previous government. And this one also says, President Akufo-Addo is focused and no amount of diversionary tactics will distract him in the fight against COVID-19. And Lincoln in Akwetiman says, do our leaders respect the tax we pay to the state and how it's being used? What a country, he asks. And Malo from Instable says, it makes economic sense to complete some of these abandoned projects to save some money. If there are any problems in these projects, let's tackle it once and for all. The lack of commitment and political will from newly elected government to complete previous projects is sickening. And Ruben says, I think some ministers are not helping the president in his administration at all. The Minister of Health has failed to give the president a credible and truthful state of the facility, so the government should complete them. Ruben sends that one. Wolanyo says, let us commend the government in the first place for the intensive measures lined up to fight COVID-19. And in fact, Mr. Obimpe was right by saying the distribution was given to political activists. Those activists doesn't allow us to do our work by using the registered people. They have their own people. They want to give it out to Titi from Teshi sends that one. And this one from Ata Kofi in Jamestown. He says the Azonto dance emanated from Bukum, where it was known as Apache. The music industry took it and termed it Azonto. Forget anyone trying to claim ownership of it. We'll get into that controversy shortly at Akofi. But the Minister for Works and Housing, Samuel Atachia, has warned landlords who demand more than 6 months of rent advance to desist from the act or face the wrath of government. Speaking on the Super Morning Show, Mr. Atachia said government would enforce the law to the letter, especially as COVID-19 affects the incomes of families.
You know, the environment we find ourselves in, as the COVID-19 challenges. And we know that before the lifting of the lockdown, people were supposed to be living in their homes, stay at home. So therefore, it became imperative that we should address how landlords would treat tenants as a special case for the moment. So we are well aware of the laws of this country and how with impunity people have been violating the laws. But this is a special moment that we should remind tenants about what they can do which could land them into jail, to sort of bring to their awareness and also, if you like, touch on their humanity, that by reason of what is happening, it will be very cruel and oppressive at this critical moment that we are confronted with a pandemic. You're trying to exploit, as we know they do exploit them, a tenant, and make money. So this is the context of yesterday's press conference, and I want people to understand that when you have special circumstances, there's necessity to remind people of the law and also to touch on their common humanity.
So you were appealing to them?
I was appealing to them.
Why not?
And reminding them that if they are cruel, like before, they could go to jail.
Is that an appeal?
It is indeed, and a warning.
Okay, so it was an appeal and a warning.
Yes.
That's the Works and Housing Minister, Samuel Atachia. Now, 5 shops at the Kaneshi Market have been locked up by environmental health officers of the AMA for failing to observe any of the measures to help fight the spread of the coronavirus. The Joy Clean Ghana campaign queen, Nancy Emefa Apawu, reports.
Move from shop to shop. When we get to a shop and they do not have any of the kits that we ask them to provide, we'll close the shop and then prosecute the shop owner.
The first stop was a frozen food shop. They had no washing facility, no sanitizer, and showed complete disregard for social distancing.
You have been informed that at the entrance of your business frontage, you have to provide a Veronica bucket here. You talk of washing hands. So where will they wash their hands? We want to see where your Veronica bucket is. Where is it?
I run and come my boss. When he's come back, he bring the Veronica van.
Right now that you inform your boss. So for the period that we've been educating this thing, it's now that you have informed your boss.
The owner admitted he was wrong, but added that he had kept the sanitizer in his bag.
So for you not having the Veronica bucket at this point, no sanitizer, you have to come out. You have sanitizer that you have. It's in your bag. So if customers come, they have to come to your bag to take it. Master, get the place ready. Put off the electrical gaggers all off and come out. We'll close the place.
All the customers were asked to leave and the shop was locked.
Take water to go and sell. Please go out. None of you is in. It's wearing a nose mask. Buy the thing and you put it in your pocket. It means you see, this is not your room.
We found a kitchenware shop. From a distance, we saw no hand washing facility, and the shop attendants were without nose mask.
So the law says that when we come around and then you refuse to provide these protocols, kids, we should take action against you. So as it stands now, we are going to lock your shop. Please, where is your mask? Carry the things inside for us to lock the place.
A shop attendant nearby came to plead.
Madam, if you misbehave, I'll put you inside cells now.
Well, you heard there Mr. Asitanga and Florence Kuchi, and of course my colleague Nancy Emefa Apawu. The Clean Ghana campaign is back and it would be in your area next. Their counterparts in Kumasi have also introduced new stickers to regulate the operation of commercial vehicles in the city's central business district. Erastus Asaridonko has more.
Kumasi's congested trading hubs continue to attract transport operators who cause massive congestion largely due to acts of indiscipline. The development is creating difficulty in human and vehicular movement in observance of safety protocols in the midst of COVID-19. The KMA wants to limit the number of trotro and taxis entering and loading at designated points. The Assembly, in collaboration with transport unions, has designed special stickers to identify commercial vehicles permitted to operate in the city center at any given time. Drivers will have to display the stickers designating them to ply specific routes.
That's my colleague Erastus Asaridonko from Kumasi. Now, they spent several hours inside a facility that is treating the severely ill of persons infected with COVID-19. But despite this, their commitment to the cause remains unshaking. A sharp-changing lifestyle, having to remove themselves from their families as a precaution, and living on the front lines has not been easy as well. Komla Adom speaks to Dr. Enima Ade, Dr. Daniel Soti, and Dr. Krezowu, all critical care staff at the University of Ghana Medical Center.
Welcome, Komla, to our intensive care unit for COVID patients.
Every day, they are here, doing what they know how to do, offering critical care to severely ill persons with COVID-19.
As you walk in here, you can realize that different patients are admitted onto the various beds. There are different degrees of illnesses, different degrees of infection. So as much as possible, we handle each individual patient with as much caution and care as we can. And we try not to transfer the viral load or the level of infection from one patient across to another patient.
Outside this place, Dr. Emma Enima Adai's social life has changed.
It's a battle of a sword. It's like soldiers going to war. Before you leave to go to war, you have to prepare the minds of your family back at home. Some of us have had to separate ourselves fully from our family members. Like myself, currently I'm home alone because some of them are among a higher risk group. If they get the infection, they'll be among the higher risk group. So as a first line, I've had to separate myself from my family for this period.
COVID has taken a lot from her, but she says it is for good reason.
There's been a lot of sacrifices to make. Our lifestyles have changed. Our way of dressing, we are not allowed to do so many things. You can't wear jewelry anymore, you can't wear earrings, things we used to take for granted. When you leave and you're going home, you cannot use public transportation anymore. You cannot expose many people to you because of the area where you have worked. So all that has also changed. Of course, our social activities have also changed. Even though they say the lockdown has been lifted and some people can do certain things now, we are still on our own form of lockdown whilst we work in the treatment center.
Her colleague, whom she calls a buddy, Dr. Daniel Soti's commitment to this cause is unshaken.
Hello, Mr. A's blood sugar is 8.5.
Mr. A.
Yes.
Blood pressure.
Blood sugar.
Blood sugar is what?
8.5.
Blood sugar 8.5.
Yeah, and we've given 500 of metformin.
Okay.
Yeah.
500 of metformin.
Yeah.
Okay.
Beyond his initial fear, he has settled in for the good of the country.
I thought, oh no, I don't think I can do this. That is what I thought to myself. When we were taught how to wear the full PPE, we were told that the maximum you can stay in it is 45 minutes, maximum 1 hour. But you bear with me that when we went in today, we spent more than an hour in there. And Dr. Adai at a point spent more than 4 hours in the PPE. It's not through her own strength that she was able to do that.
It's been a lonely ride so far, but he sees some good times ahead.
As we do our part as health workers to stave this epidemic in our country, we want the citizens to also do their part. And then to pray for us. Because it is not with our own strength that we do this.
Most of what we're doing now is actually similar to what we're doing. The only difference was we were not doing it under the context of COVID-19.
Here is their boss, head of the University of Ghana Medical Center Intensive Care Unit, Dr. Chris O.
Our families try to understand. It is difficult for them. You have to keep reassuring them. There are psychological aspects of this, which you have to keep reassuring them. Sometimes they feel lonely, but somebody's got to do this.
He has not been spared the drudgery of this service in Corona. But in this together, win together, Dr. Adai, Dr. Soti, and Dr. O have a plea.
It is not an easy experience at all. I've heard people say, oh, you people are doctors, you've seen death so many times, so you are not affected. Trust you me. Every single patient who passes away affects us. In the same way, when a patient recovers, we are extremely excited. It encourages us to keep pushing because we've seen people recover.
We need their support as we fight this battle. And we hope that in the very near future, once we get this disease out of our country, we'll be able to jubilate as a country together.
Others have done this before, so it's not like this is the first time people are putting their lives on the line for their citizens. So we're not more or less trying to be heroes. We're trying to be health care workers. We're trying to practice appropriate medicine. Yeah, but it would be nice to have this done, to have this virus get out of our country, to get back to what we used to do, and to get back to our families. Thank you, Joy News. Thank you for coming to see what we've been doing for the past 4 going on 5 weeks now.
To all the contact tracers going around communities looking for people who may be sick and in need of help, Akwe?
I am particularly grateful to the cleaners at the various hospitals and isolation centers. Today, your job is more dangerous than ever.
You may have a few PPEs, but your spirits remain unbroken. And we say, thank you.
To all our fearless frontline workers risking their lives for us, we say thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
And that's how we end tonight's edition of News Night. And we'll leave you with the Azonto controversy. But guess what? Nashoko and the team are up next with Strong and Sassy. We're talking coping with your children's virtual school and work. How are you coping?
How am I coping, Emefa? Luckily for me, all my kids are under 3 years old. So I'm not having to
They don't send scribbles and all?
No, we just watch cartoons and learn our ABCs. But
recommended from their schools?
Yes, recommended from their schools. The schools gave us some videos, which we use. But a lot of parents are having to tutor their young ones via Zoom, via Zoom classes. And yesterday, actually, I spoke to a colleague who told me that his 2-year-old daughter has to attend Zoom classes daily, and they are paying so much money for it from their international schools, and it's difficult because a 2-year-old has the attention span of a goldfish, like 10 minutes to 15 minutes.
And they have to stay for like 30, 40
so
minutes.
So today we're going to be talking to parents who are doing this. We want to know how they're doing it and how it's going.
Yeah, we're waiting for that. I'll tell you my own experience later as well. And that's it for tonight's edition. Becky of our Entertainment Desk takes us on the Azonto controversy.